All right, guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are making pizza, and we're going to start with the dough, and we're going to let this proof in the fridge overnight. So this is a 2-day process. You could do it in 1 day if you want, but I really like to make the dough a day ahead and let it sit in the fridge before I start working with that. So I've already got my yeast going. I have a 1.25 cups of warm water, so just slightly above body temperature. When you get the water running, you put your hand in it. It should feel just slightly warm, but not hot, because remember the yeast is a baby when it comes to heat. So 105 degrees is about where I got it, and I'm just using this quick rise yeast. So I have a 1.25 cups, and then I have a scant tablespoon of yeast. And then I'm gonna also just I added a little bit of sugar, about a teaspoon of sugar in here, because that is the favorite food of the yeast. I'm also gonna add 2 tablespoons of olive oil to my liquid here, and I'm gonna let that keep getting nice and foamy. And then I'm gonna grab my flour. And so I need 3 cups. This is just all-purpose flour. So 3 good scoops of this flour, and I'm gonna put this right into my KitchenAid mixer, and I'm gonna grab a little bit more in case I need it. And I'm using the dough hook attachment here. Some folks will start with the paddle until they get this all mixed together, and then switch over to the dough hook. I'm just gonna go straight dough hook because I don't want to have to clean extra stuff. I'm also gonna add a little bit of white pepper. I'm using white pepper because I don't want to have like the specks of black pepper in my pizza dough. And then I'm gonna also add a little bit of Italian seasoning. And I got about a tablespoon there. So give this just a quick stir with our attachment, and then I don't know if you can see this is nice and foamy here. Get a zoom on that, yeah. So nice and foamy. All right, cool. And then I'll turn off my mixer, and then I'm just gonna pour this in. Lock that in, and then turn this on. All right? And this will mix up, and what you want is to let this just kind of go until the dough starts to pull away from the sides. If the dough has come together and it's still quite sticky, then you want to add a little bit of extra flour, and that's what I saved this for. Okay? And I can tell right now that our dough is still a little bit too wet based on the fact that the dough is still quite sticky there. So I'm gonna add a little bit more flour in here, and this should, when you lift it up, it should hold onto the dough hook versus tearing off like it just did. So I'm gonna add a little more flour into the mix. I'm gonna go pretty heavy actually based on what it looks like. And I'm gonna go with, I don't know, about a 1/2 cup. So we're at this point, we're at 3.5 cups of flour. So keep going until we get this right. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Flew out of the mixer on me a little bit. It's okay. We have a cleaning crew. Take care of that for us later. He's also my cameraman. Now our dough is coming off the bowl pretty clean, right? And that's what you want. And then when we touch it, we can touch it and it's still sticky, but it's not sticking to our hands. And that's really where I like my pizza dough. I don't want it to be too dry, and I don't want it too sticky that I can't work with it. So I'm gonna let this go for just another minute or so, and then we're gonna put it on the workbench here and knead that and get a nice uniform mix and develop a little more gluten on it, and then we'll bag it up for. All right, so I got my little extra bit of flour here. As always, I'm going to flour my hands because I don't want the flour to stick to me. I want it to stick to itself. cat in the kitchen. Cameraman is also doing a good job of keeping the animals out. Okay, so we're gonna knead this dough on our counter here, and I'm just doing a quarter turn. See, the dough stuck to me here. Okay, so I'm doing a quarter turn and then rolling it. This is still just a little bit sticky, a little bit more sticky than I want. This is developing some nice gluten, mixing all of that yeast and get a nice uniform mixture on the whole thing here. So slow-mo, we're just turn and roll, turn and roll. Quarter turn, roll it. We don't really need to lean into this. Shouldn't be that, the dough shouldn't be that tough that you have to really lean into it. But just turn it, give it a little roll. As we do that, we build some nice gluten, some nice texture. And then we have this nice little dough ball here. And I always give it a little poke and see if that thing bounces back up. And if it bounces back up, I know that I'm where I need to be here. So, pretty happy with this dough ball. We're gonna get this in a bag with a little bit of oil and let this proof overnight. Let it rise up. So I've got a gallon-sized bag here. And I'm gonna just hit this with a little shot of olive oil. Then, this is actually enough dough. I like to roll my dough pretty thin, but we'll be able to make 2 pizzas from this tomorrow. So we'll make our meat pizza, and then we'll make our Hawaiian or a cheese pizza. And then we're gonna cook those off, and we'll come back to you when these are all ready to go in the oven. All right, hello friends, hello Falcons. Back to our pizza. We made the dough last night and we let that sit in the fridge overnight and proof up, and we have a pretty good result here. I'm gonna get this out and I'm gonna actually turn this into 2 separate pies. I'm gonna do one for me and Robin, or Robin and I, and then I'm gonna do one for Cameron and Scarlett. So get our dough out. There. All right, so dough is cold. I'm just gonna work this dough out on my board here. I'm gonna get this as round as I can. And I am not a pizza shop guy, so I'm gonna do my best to make this round, but I usually never get a round pizza dough. But maybe today, maybe it'll be the day. So stretch this out a little bit, and that is not round. I am fortunate that I have a pizza pan. Cameraman's laughing at me because I am making, like, I don't know what steak-shaped pizza this is, but I like a thin crust, so we're gonna just stretch this out as thin as we can get it. And then I've got my pizza pan here. We'll make this actually work. All right, if you don't split your crust in half and make 2 pizzas out of this one dough, you're gonna wanna par bake this, but this dough that I'm using right here is pretty thin, so I don't think that I need to necessarily do that, so. All right, so I've got my crust as round as it's gonna get. Guys, we are back. We are gonna do our second pizza. If you don't have a pizza pan, you can use a sheet pan and just flip it over and use the back side of that. I got a piece of parchment on there just because I don't want this crust to stick to it. We're gonna get this pizza dough kind of pressed out here. Just leave a little edge on it for our crust. And maybe we'll do stuffed crust. Do you want stuffed crust? Yeah? All right. So we're gonna roll this out pretty thin here. And then we will stretch this guy. Best we can. Okay, looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna get this on the sheet pan. And I'll move this over here. Round pan would be better for this, but whatever. All right. We are gonna go do a layer of cheese around this edge. Okay, and then we're just gonna fold it and crimp it. Apparently the cat wants outside. What do you want, cheese?
Mm-hmm.
Just cheese?
What? Hawaiian.
You want Hawaiian? So get a little bit of sauce in here. And then, let's see. All right, I'm gonna get these baked off. We'll pull them out. We'll take a photo and then we'll munch until we can't munch no more. Hope you guys are well. Hope you're staying healthy. I miss ya. I'll see you soon.